Hello, educators! Welcome to the free webinar of Asia Pacific Association of Educators Training Institute. I am Gerome C. Pasahol, currently teaching at Lumang Bayan National High School at Pinagbayanan, San Juan from the Division of Batangas. Before we proceed to our discussion, I would like to take this time to thank our diligent and dedicated President and CEO of APAETI, Dr. Raquel Bernabe, for giving me this kind of opportunity to share with you some tips on how to reduce stress in a work from home setting. So before we start, I'll just give some reminders that those participants who registered in a real time are the only qualified to get the certificate. And also, do like, share, and subscribe APA80 YouTube channel and Facebook page. The topic that I want to discuss and talk about is be smart in this pandemic. Work from home tips on how to reduce stress. We all know that we are now in a new normal setting and there's a rapid change in our noble profession, specifically in our workplace. That's why I want to share with you these simple tips. Again, I am Gerome C. Pasahol, a proud affiliate member of APAETI. As might be expected, we have some rules to follow. You should be a registered participant through link posted on APAETI Facebook page. Also, watch the entire video. Listen attentively. Do like, share, and subscribe APA80 YouTube channel. And at the end of this webinar, you must evaluate to get your e-certificate. In this webinar, we have three objectives. Number one, discuss the smart tips on how to reduce stress in a work from home setting. Number two, make a self-check using perceived stress scale in a work from home setting. Number three, appreciate the value of stress management to be more productive in our daily job. So as we start, according to National Institute for Mental Health, long-term stress can increase your risk of mental disability. So, and as we evaluate, almost 4 months have passed and we are now in the second wave of COVID-19. This pandemic frees us from traveling and making our normal way of life. In this case, DepEd, or the Department of Education, is really affected in this virus. Many teachers, or many of us, work from home, and as we adapt to this setting, many problems occur, specifically the stress level on doing the changes in the curriculum and the implementation of it. Alam ko lahat po tayo nakakaranas po nito. And because of that, the Department of Education releases a DepEd Task Force COVID-19 Memorandum number 43 series of 2020. It contains participation to wellness check series. So the DepEd launches a wellness check series under DepEd Tayo Facebook page. They posted webinars such as Kalmalanga, Tara, Fact Check Tayo, Uyayi, and Let It Grow. So this webinar, we improve the mental health condition of every DepEd personnel. And also, as the DRRMS Director, Ma'am Ronilda Co said, walang nakaliligtas sa epekto ng COVID-19. Hindi lang sa pisikal na aspeto, kundi pati na rin sa mental. That is why I want to share with you these smart tips to help teachers and even non-teaching personnel to reduce stress and improve their work in a work from home setting. Okay, so these are my tips on how to reduce stress, the SMART tips. Letter S, self-control. Letter M, manage your work. Letter A, avoid negativism. Letter R, recognize when you need help. And the letter T, time to reflect. Before we discuss the SMART tips, so let us define what is stress. Stress is a state of mental or emotional strain or tension resulting from adverse or very demanding circumstances. Just like what happened today. Dahil sa COVID-19, napaka-demanding ng trabaho natin bilang teacher. And as the curriculum rapidly changes, yes, we can adapt on it. But drastic changes in a teacher's routine brought learning modalities that we may implement in time of COVID-19, this can lead to associate mental health challenges. Lahat po ay na-stress, hindi lamang tayong nasa teaching position. Higit lalo po yung mga nasa administrative dahil sa pabago-bago or pagbabagong dulot ng COVID-19. I have here signs that we usually encounter in a work from home setting. So I categorize this into three parts: the physical, mental, and emotional. Number one, the physical stress are the frequent heartburn, cold and sweaty hands and feet, significant weight loss and gain, headaches, constant fatigue, and insomnia. And number two, the mental sign of stress are lack of concentration and panic attacks. And in emotional stress, mood swings, irritability, and angry episodes. So, if ever na meron ka na kayong sign of stress na ganito, talagang kailangan nyo ng magpahinga. What are the cause of stress today? So, according to CDC or Center for Disease and Disease Control and Prevention, the cause of stress was the coronavirus disease or the COVID-19. So this virus, they said that this virus will create a new disease which is fear and anxiety. Stress during this infectious disease outbreak can sometimes cause to fear and worry that will worsen our mental condition. Therefore, we can see that there is a need in coping stress during this pandemic. So, in relation to that, let me introduce to you the smart tips on how to reduce stress in a work from home setting. Let's start with self-control. We all know that we are not supervised and we are not free or we are free to do anything which is not related to our daily job. As I experience in a work from home setting, nakakagawa tayo ng mga bagay na di related sa trabaho. Kaya minsan, hindi natatapos ang ating gawain hanggang matambakan tayo. At doon tayo nasisimulang ma-stress. So what can we do? First, in a self-control, we need to assess ourselves. What are the things that I can do this time or this day? What are the things that distract my attention to finish my work? Just like social media, pwede po natin gamitin ang Facebook, ang Messenger sa ating trabaho. Pero, once na nag-scroll tayo ng newsfeed, hindi na yan matatapos. Pwede na yan maging distraction. At hindi natin matapos ang ating gawain. At doon, matatambakan tayo at may stress tayo. Then, after assessing, you must eliminate those things that distract your attention to finish your work. And all the things that is not necessary to your job. Also, avoid eating unhealthy foods. Always eating unhealthy foods can be a sign that you are stressed. And the last, practice those good routine and make it as an habit. As Pastor Ed Lapis said, practice makes permanent. There's no such thing na hindi ko kaya or hindi na kaya kasi hindi mo na practice. So, first tips, talagang self-control. Controlling yourself in doing what is not necessary in your job will easily finish your work. And less stress, more success. Number two tip is manage your work. A good management can lead to a better result. In a work from home setting, it is necessary to manage your work. And how will you do it? Number one, plan your day ahead of time. List your schoolwork or requirements and from this list, you can prioritize your task. Alin ang kailangan or alin ang kailangan ng ipasa at alin ang hindi pa. Through planning, you can avoid cramming and burnout because you've done your work in time. Next, prepare. Preparation isn't all about seeing how fast you can get a job done. It's more important to focus on doing it efficiently. This might mean that you have to revisit one particular area kung yan man ay inyong idea exemplar or yung inyong output many times in order to perfect it. Kung nakapaghanda ka, magiging maganda ang output na magagawa mo at hindi ka paulit-ulit na kadalasan ay ating nararanasan bilang teacher. So it is important also to execute what we've planned and prepared. Hindi natin matatapos ang gawain kung iisipin lamang natin. We have lots of ideas, but these ideas will remain idea if we just think of this every time. We need to act on it. Creating a balanced schedule can make better output. Siyempre, you may expect good feedbacks from your school head and colleagues that may reduce your stress. And next is avoid negativism. Negativism is a behavior characterized by the tendency to resist direction from others and the refusal to comply with requests. So we can associate this to overthinking. How to avoid this? First tip, avoid fake news. We usually see those fake news to social media platform, specifically in Facebook. So how can we combat this fake news? So you may consider the journalist or the media posting on that particular news or news. Do your research, find the resource, and the best thing to do is to ignore it if it is not necessary to your job. Instead of reading or watching those fake news, you may read books and also focus in the good news. According to the 2009 study at the University of Sussex, reading is found to decrease blood pressure, lower heart rate, and reduce stress to significant degrees. So, therefore, stress is reduced up to 68% by just reading. Maganda po magbasa, lalong-lalo na yung mga inspirational books. So, you will think positively if you read and read. Then, recognize when you need help. Even if we are working from home, we need to ask help to our colleagues to finish our task. Huwag po nating suluhin ang burdens or ang burden dahil mababurn out ka pag ginawa mo ito. We can ask assistance dahil wala naman pong expert pa dito sa trabaho natin dahil bago po tayo sa curriculum na ini-implement na ito. Then, we need to have companions that will help us and share ideas, and you can share ideas to them. A 2015 study published in Clinical Psychological Science Journal found that helping others can relieve stress. And sometimes, the best stress reducer is simply sharing your stress with someone close to you. Even if the government implemented social distancing, we can use social media as a tool in sharing and helping others that may lead to reduce our stress. And the last part of these tips is time to reflect. How can we reflect on a work from home setting? So for me, it is a must to establish a healthy boundaries. Many of us feel pressured to be available 24 hours a day or obliged to keep checking our smartphones, our messenger, our group chat for work-related messages and updates. But it's important to maintain periods where you're not working or thinking about your work. Then that may mean not checking emails or taking work calls at home in evening or in weekends. So also reflecting uh, is time to relax. You have to relax yourself, meditate, exercise, and any other things that is relaxing to you. And syempre, you can read the Bible. For me, it is not just an inspirational or spiritual book, but a practical guide on how will you do your daily life. And it really helped me to establish what I want to do. And it helped me to reflect on what I've done. This contains many verses that can reduce your stress and change your perspective in life. So these are the tips that I want to share with you. The SMART tips: self-control, manage your work, avoid negativism, recognize when you need help, and time to reflect. I hope you have learned this morning activity. Test your stress level. So, we will use the PSS or the Perceived Stress Scale to test your stress level from your experience on the last month. You will just choose your answer on the indicators above the question. So, go get a pen and a paper to write your answer. I have here 10 questions. Let us start. Number 1, in the last month, how often you have been upset because of something that happened unexpectedly? You will just write the number of your answer. Number 2, in the last month, how often you have felt that you were unable to control the important things in your life? Number 3, in the last month, how often have you felt nervous and stressed? And number 4, in the last month, how often have you felt confident about your ability to handle your personal problems? Number 5, in the last month, how often have you felt that things were going your way? Next, number 6, in the last month, how often have you found that you could not cope with all the things that you've had to do? Number 7, in the last month, how often have you been able to control irritation in your life? Number 8, in the last month, how often have you felt that you were on the top of things? And number 9, in the last month, how often have you been angered because of things that happened that were outside of your control? Number 10, in the last month, how often have you felt difficulties were piling up so high that you could not overcome them? So, in assessing your answer, follow this instruction. Number 1, first, reverse your score from question 4, 5, and 4, 5, 7, and 8. If your answer is 4, make it 3. Example. Then, second instruction. On these four questions, the 4, 5, 7, and 8, change the score like this. 0 is equal to 4, 1 is equal to 3, 2 is equal to 2, 3 is equal to 1, and 4 is equal to 0. Now, add up your scores for each item to get your total. So, my or your total score is, okay, are you excited? Now let's see the equivalent stress level of your score. If you're ranging from 0 to 13, you would be considered as low stress. And if you're ranging to from 14 to 26, you would be considered moderate stress. And if you're ranging from 27 to 40, you would be considered a high perceived stress. I think you must have some remedy to that. I hope this activity help you to assess your stress level, and I hope you learned from some tips that I have shared. To end this webinar, I want to share to you a short story. There are two teachers, both in the same both in the same work from home situation, and also they are both given lots of tasks. Teacher A keep on complaining and sharing negative thoughts to his colleagues, while Teacher B accepting and embracing the new normal setting. The question is, who will be more productive and less stressed? I think we all choose Teacher B. So why you choose Teacher B? It is because life is 10% of what happens to you, and 90% is how you react to it, according to Charles R. Swindoll. Pare-parehas po tayo ng sitwasyon na nangyayari ngayon. Mayroong pandemya and that is just a 10% of our life. But the question is, how will you react to it? That is the question. Give your worries to the Lord and He will care for you, according to Psalm 55:22. And all for today. Thank you so much and God bless us all.